Hey there, folks. So, long time no video, or more or less. I don't know. I've got a backlog, so been keeping stuff relatively regular. But got something here that should be pretty quick. This is in regards to the Game Boy Micro battery mod that has my name attached to it. I want to spend a quick few minutes talking about that. So, what I've got here is a perfectly stock Game Boy Micro. This is one of the ones that I just keep in my storage. Picked it up off Yahoo Auctions a little while back, shortly before these things started jumping up in price. Still probably paid more than I should have, but you know, it's only 60 bucks. But anyway, here we go. So the problem I encountered, and problem that I set out to solve, is when I got this particular micro, battery life on it just sucked. I thought that was pretty normal for micros until, actually this is the second micro I got. My first micro had absolute garbage battery life, and I just thought that was normal for micros until I got this one and realized that this one got literally twice the battery life out of the same battery. Now, I don't keep batteries in my consoles that I have in storage, and of course I forgot to grab the battery for this one, so I'll be right back. Alright, got it. Don't know if this is it exactly, but it is a micro battery, so it'll do for our purposes here. Totally forgot the tangent I was going on. Anyway, my original micro had absolute garbage battery life, and I wanted to solve that problem, and I knew that aftermarket batteries just kind of sucked. You know, it was a crapshoot with whatever you're getting, and I did actually do a test with those, and I found some batteries that were labeled 2000 milliamp hours, and they tested at like 400, at so on and so forth. But anyway, if you look at the standard Game Boy Micro battery, you see that these are lithium-ion manganese rechargeables, which means they have a higher than normal nominal voltage. Now, the voltage curve is approximately the same as a regular lithium-ion battery, which is convenient because it means we can just pop in a regular lithium-ion battery. So if you do that, the voltage is it's perfectly compatible with the micro. The single only downside is that the low battery warning tends to come on a little bit earlier with these than with these, but I think that's an acceptable offset for, or an acceptable trade-off when you compare the capacity between this battery, which is nominal 460 milliamp hours 15 years ago, with this battery, which is 500, or even this one, which is 750. And I did actually test both of these batteries. I didn't record the numbers. Oh, I don't think I tested this one. I tested some of these, not this particular one. I didn't record the numbers on these batteries, but I can look this one up because it's labeled. But either way, they did test approximately within the labeled values. So these are approximately 500. These are approximately 750. The OEM batteries, you know, it's a complete crapshoot with what you get because they're 15 years old, 16 years old at this point. Some of them are perfectly fine, and if so, don't bother replacing it. Others are not. Aftermarket batteries were anywhere from 200 milliamp hours to, I think I measured about 600 on the high end, but the one that measured 600 milliamp hours was actually labeled 600 milliamp hours. I don't remember. I'd have to double check my notes, but that's besides the point. Anyway, let's get on with it. Jeebus. So the Game Boy Micro battery door is held on with a JIS screw. I am using a J0 driver to remove that, but a J00 would work just as well. Helps if you unscrew it completely. And then the battery goes in something like that. The connector is kind of recessed, but it goes down there, and then you can pop Here, you fold that, and this is the OEM battery, of course. Pop that on, screw it down, and you'd have, ta-da, perfectly working Game Boy. But that, of course, is not the point of this video. The point of this video is to talk about these batteries. So if you happen to find these are 60, 25, 35 batteries. They're nice and thin. They'll fit no problem in the Game Boy Micro cutout, and they'll offer better battery life than stock. But these batteries, don't bother going after these ones when these are like 50% more capacity, and these fit too. These are, ooh, I'm dropping it. This is an 80, 25, 35 cell, and that's a standard size. You'll look that up, you'll find them. But, you know, depending on the manufacturer, they might be more or less 750. Either way, it'll be at least 600, and you'll get even more battery life than this. But the problem is Nintendo, in their infinite wisdom, used a slightly custom connector, and the only way to get the proper connector is to literally cut it off your original battery and splice it onto your new one. I found a similar connector. It is not the same thing, but it is extraordinarily close. Or at least as far as I can tell, Nintendo used a custom connector. But if you look at it front on, you can see they're basically the same. They measure the same length, height, width, and pin spacing is the same. Even the pin layout is the same. The only difference are these tabs on the side. And bring that in so it's a little more in line with my light. And you can see on the bottom one, the tab is much closer to the bottom, whereas on the top one, the tab is just about in the middle. And to install it, you have two options. Your first option is to take some flush cutters and then just cut that tab off entirely. That will work, but the even easier option, trust me, it is really that easy. Take the connector, line it up, take a plastic tool, and just jam it in there. The key is to make sure it is lined up. It's recessed and you can't really see it, but it is in there. The connector on the Micro will accept both plugs. The thing is though, because of that misaligned tab, the connector itself is a little bit tighter, so it doesn't slip in quite as easily as this one, but it does go in just fine. It will not damage the Micro. And then you fold that wire up just the same, take your battery cover, jam it on. And that's it. No bulge, no hassle, no nothing. Works fine. It'll charge fine, it'll drain fine. There's zero worries about the low voltage. The Game Boy Micro has a relatively generous low voltage cutoff at 3.3 volts, which is a little bit lower than the Game Boy Advance SP, but still plenty above the minimum safe voltage. And the reason those voltages are so high is because lithium batteries have a inherent self-discharge, and once they get below a certain voltage, they don't always come back. So if the low voltage cutoff is high enough, that gives you more time between when the console dies because you played it too long and when you can no longer safely recharge it. Now, in the case of 3.3 volts, that time could be like a year. If the low voltage cutoff were 3 volts, that time could be like a month. So you see why it makes a big difference, especially in a toy that was primarily marketed to children. Don't forget, that's what Game Boys are. And real quick, I just want to cover a couple more things. Some people have reported that the battery is a little bit tight in there, and It is. It's bigger than a stock battery. And in some cases, you do have to peel the foam off of the inside cover. And that is exactly what I did with the other micro that I generally use. Notice we got the same battery in there and no foam, and I just lost the screw because it's not captive on this one. But it fits, no problem. The foam gone, works just as well as stock. Get that in there. And then I am going to pull this out. Again, it's a little tight, but it'll come. You can see the plug is a little scuffed up because of those tabs being in the wrong spot, but no worse for wear. It's probably the same thing on the plug on the inside, but it's really hard to see. And I mean, it is unfortunate, but that is the choice we have. You either splice the connector, modify the connector, or just jam it in. But I can say with confidence that I've just, been jamming it in and it's been perfectly fine. If you're nervous, just spit on it, but it'll be fine, trust me. Anyway, you can see the battery is about 8 millimeters thick, whereas the stock battery is about 6.5. So that. There's room for that extra 1.5 millimeters. Just sometimes you might have to remove the foam, but easy peasy, works great. If for some reason that really makes you nervous, that's what these are for, 60, 25, 35. These will fit no problem without having to remove the foam. But these offer way better battery life, and they should fit just fine either way. Anyway, that's all I've got. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. I will post a link in the comments to where you can get one of these batteries with this connector already attached to it. Again, it's not 100% the correct connector, but it's close enough that you can just jam it in without worrying about it, which, by the way, is usually not the case. If it's the wrong connector, don't just jam it in. But in the case of the micro, it's basically our only choice for this application. Anyway, I'll let y'all get back to it. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day. Oh, and because I know it's going to come up, this Ava faceplate is actually a sticker that I got on AliExpress, and I asked the seller. They're out of stock. They're no longer made. You can't get them anymore. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I bought a set when I saw them pop up, and I haven't seen them anywhere since. Anyway.